Hi guys, my name is Xavier. I'm going to be talking about the 30 Years' War in Europe today. I believe the first time I heard about this was in my sixth grade history class with a guy named Mr. Thomas. And I really liked him, so I thought I'd connect the two classes together. So, a little bit of background. It's called the 30 Years' War because it lasted 30 years from 1618 to 1648. And it started with the Holy Roman Empire, which included hundreds of semi-independent German states split between Catholics and Protestants. And the Protestants believed that the Catholics were trying to limit their rights. And it started with a protest where some Protestants threw two Catholic advisors of King Ferdinand II out a window, and then thus the war began. It scaled up and eventually involved nearly every major European power at the time. Think Spain, France, the Swedish, Danish, the Dutch, and it's an estimated 4.5 to 8 million casualties throughout the war. And some results of the war is that it essentially ended large-scale religious wars in Europe because of how costly this war was. It expanded religious rights, and the Holy Roman Empire was greatly weakened. So some central themes of this war. At its core, the war dramatized the division between Catholicism and Protestantism after Reformation. They argued over who has legitimate authority to interpret the scripture, who controls the church institutions within each territory. Another part was the non-secularism. Political allegiance was deeply rooted with religion. Princes, nobles, kings, they all aligned with either Catholic or Protestant, Lutheran, or Calvinist ideologies. And it showed that religious coexistence was very fragile for the time. There's a lot of people with different religions living very close together, and because of that, that uh, caused more and more conflict between them. So some similarities and differences between this and what we've talked about in class. So religious narratives were used to justify political or economic goals during this war. The Crusades justified political expansion. Think of like ISIS, for example. They used theology to justify state building. Apocalyptic rhetoric is another thing. Radical Puritans, they used apocalyptic imagery, and fundamentalists, they argued that modern thought is an attack on their faith. Uh, and then again, problems with coexistence. So think of like the Jewish expulsion from medieval Europe, or even Jews in Germany in the 1940s. Or, for example, Bin Laden's fatwa on all Americans, and how it's there's a it's a lot harder for people to live together when they have different religious beliefs. The main difference in this example is the scale was much larger. It was continental. There's much more players in this war compared to some of the other examples that we've gone over in class, particularly in the Middle East, where it's fairly regional and it's isolated within the Middle East. And looking towards the future, so the main thing that impacts today is the 1648 Peace of Westphalia established the principle that states have authority over territory. No external power like religious authorities can interfere. Rulers determine internal religious arrangements. And this is the foundation of modern nation-state systems of thought. It influences today how borders are recognized, how states claim sovereignty, and the separation of religion and state. This war was the early weakening of theocracy, and it set the groundwork for secularism on the rise, how most countries operate today. And it influenced how we view and handle sectarian war today, how we identify the escalation of these conflicts, and how outside powers intervening can influence them, and why wars can radicalize religious identities. And it also shows how peace settlements must include minority protections. So that's all I have for today. Thank you for listening.